Hey Nancy Drew fans, we're back with book 29, Mystery at the Ski Jump. This book begins with Nancy walking home in a driving snowstorm carrying a new pair of skis. She narrowly misses being hit by a car that skids across the road and crashes into a neighbor's porch. Nancy rushes to help and is immediately curious when the woman driving, an elegant woman in a mink coat named Mrs. Channing, abruptly flees the scene upon learning that Nancy is a detective. It turns out that Mrs. Channing has been making the rounds in River Heights, selling mink coats and stock in the Forest Fur Company. Upon learning that Hannah has invested $50, Nancy sets out to prove that Hannah's been duped and to get her money back. The criminals are pretty much onto Nancy starting on day one, and they cause all sorts of trouble, stealing her driver's license, impersonating her at all sorts of places, including a figure skating competition, and getting her arrested for a theft at a fur store. The figure skating competition is really fun and totally ridiculous. Nancy and her father are sitting in the crowd when they hear her name announced over the loudspeaker as a late entrant. She's sure the criminals are involved and hatches a plan to catch them by convincing her father's client, Chuck, to skate with her. Mr. Drew watched his client, wearing close-fitting black slacks and an open-necked white satin shirt, glide gracefully onto the ice. Then the young man was joined by a Titian-haired girl in a white satin ballet costume. The lawyer gasped, "Nancy!" The two skaters danced in unison, then spun off to skate individually. While Nancy executed some simple steps, her partner jumped and whirled in intricate patterns. At her father's insistence, Nancy had been on a pseudo-date with Chuck the night before. Chuck is clearly smitten after learning that Nancy's the ideal waltz partner. Here they are dancing, and Chuck goes in for the lift. In addition to being a great dancer and also apparently a competition-level figure skater, Nancy's excellent at skiing. On a weekend ski trip the previous year, she won the ladies' novice slalom race, and while investigating this mystery, she takes up ski jumping, which she becomes fantastic at after a couple of lessons with Chuck. It seems pretty mean that Nancy repeatedly rubs her friendship with Chuck in Ned's face. "Nancy, I'll see you again soon, won't I?" Chuck pleaded. "We're all coming over here tomorrow," she promised. Then, with a teasing glance at Ned, she added, "But there's no reason why we can't see more of each other today. Ned and I haven't had lunch, so why don't you join us in the dining room?" But when Nancy's in serious trouble, this time bound, gagged, and left for dead in a boarded-up cabin in below freezing temperatures, it's Ned who comes to the rescue. "We don't know yet," Dave said. "This door is locked. We're going to try getting in a window." "All of them are boarded up," Ned recalled, "but we'll get inside if I have to tear this shack apart." I didn't remember just how often it was up to the gang to save Nancy. At the time that these were being written, this was apparently a criticism that was shared by syndicate owner Harriet Stratemeyer, and this is one of the reasons that she eventually took over the writing of the series. Tons of great food in this book, including a meal made by Hannah of pot roast, big oven-browned potatoes, and apple pie with lots of cinnamon, a trapper's dinner of venison, wild rice, and Nancy's favorite currant jelly, and a hotel breakfast of fruit, cereal, and hot chocolate after Nancy's near-death experience. Several making fun of Bess moments, but my favorite comes courtesy of the author. "Well, I'd rather stay inside," said Bess, blonde and pretty. "Maybe we can make some fudge," she added hopefully. Bess loved sweets and worried little about her weight. Next up, the clue of the velvet mask.